Hello, I've been doing a lot of AI experimentation lately, and I wanted to share this particular experiment with you. It was inspired by the Doodlewash Challenge. Doodlewash Challenge is focused on watercolor art, and I do watercolor art both in real life but also in AI art. And so I wanted to take the August challenge in a uniquely different way, in that I want to combine 3 days together in order to create special compositions with AI art. So in real life, when I make my greeting cards with watercolor, I might just use one per day. But for AI art, because I have the ability to prompt compositions, I'm going to combine them into 3-day groups. So I said, this is a good opportunity for me to also test Gemini. I have not used Gemini for creative art at all. I just use Gemini for questions and answers. And I said, let's give Gemini a shot when it comes to art. And I'm actually using the 2.5 Flash. And I told it about the Doodle Wash challenges. I told it what the days were so it wouldn't have to look it up. And I asked it to brainstorm which days we should put together. And so it put some nice food pairings together. This is its wheelhouse. This is what it does best. So I wasn't surprised that it did a great job there. But then I said, I'd like you to generate one of those images. So just take one of those things you designed and generate it. And it came up with this. Excuse the landscaper outside if you hear it. A watercolor image with sunflower, a sliced watermelon, and a water balloon. So basically, it picked days 1 through 3 to combine them. And here's what impressed me about this image that it generated. It did it in like 3 seconds. I haven't seen any other transformer model generate an image that quickly. No other model I have ever worked with, and I've worked with a bunch, has ever generated an image that fast. Literally less than 3 seconds, this was done. So that was good. But here's the bad side. I found this image to be too literal. Like you just took those 3 things and put them in a watercolor image. It seemed to lack creativity. It seemed to lack an element of storytelling. And so to me, it really didn't meet the goal of really challenging the composition. And so I said to myself, what should I do? Should I just give up on Gemini? No. These LLMs work well with iterative prompting. And so I decided to try to push it to the next step. So I basically said, be a little bit more creative. Combine 3 days to tell a story. Don't just put the images in a picture. Tell a story, whichever 3 that you pick. And this is my text that's here, collapsible. And it came back with this, which I don't know what happened. I feel like it picked National Park. I didn't see backpack, but it might be in there. Yeah, backpack is not in here. So I kind of felt it got lost in some way. And so I said, okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me ask, what were the 3 days? And then it said Loud House, radio, and bow tie. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What? There's no light there. So I think it had a little glitch. Okay, so I said, okay, let me not hold it against it. It did come up with a good story, Lighthouse, radio, and bow tie. And then he, Gemini made a story, but it wasn't related to that image. So I said, okay, we're having a little glitch. You're having a little bug here. There's no lighthouse in your image, right? So try again, and then it said, okay, you're right. I didn't do that. I didn't think about that right. And then it made this image that I have no idea what happened here. Something strange happened, okay? But I was being patient like it asked me to be, because I felt like it was just glitching. So I said, okay, let's back up. Just pick one day. Because maybe I'm pushing too hard or too fast. And it came back with coffee. And I thought it did a beautiful coffee image. Look at the pretty border. Look at the smoke rising, the window, the lighting, nice watercolor style. You could see the dripping water, kind of, like the way watercolor blends colors. Very nice, okay? And then even gave a very nice story about the peaceful reflection that's happening here, okay? So I was like, okay, now we got it, right? Now you got it, okay? And so I'm going to help it try again by giving it example, okay? So, but I'm gonna build up. We're gonna go, okay, let's try 2 days, all right? Since we did 1 day, let's try 2, okay? And of course, only when I wanna do videos does the landscaper decide he needs to mow the lawn. So this time, Gemini picked a pet and a sunflower, and we got a dog standing next to a sunflower. So I'm saying to myself, okay, what can I do to help Gemini understand what I mean by storytelling? Because there's no story here. So I thought I'd give it an example, okay? And in my example, I said, what if you created an image of a house at the end of a field with a little boy coming toward it like he's coming home from school, and the dog is rushing out to meet him. The sunflower field can be just more in the background or on one of the sides of the house. This tells a story of a moment most people would understand quickly. Okay, so boy coming home from school, his dog is running out to meet him because they're best friends, and we add the sunflower. So we still get the same thing, the pet, the sunflower, and I think that's the 2 we wanted to have in this image. And after it thought about that, it came up with a much better picture. Like you can see the story there, and it took my example and it used it as a prompt. And it generated this image, which is a lot better. You actually do feel a little bit of a story. I wonder, what happened at school that day. The backpack is like evidence that he was at school. And then here's the dog happily coming toward him. So I was like, excellent. Now we're heading in the right direction. So what I want you to do is I want you to redo. I told Gemini, I want you to redo your first image. Do it over. I'm not going to give you a prompt. But do it over to tell a better story. And then it did this. And I'm going to tell you, I was literally blown away. Why was I blown away? Because look at the story. The story actually became the priority, right? You can see the little girl eating the watermelon. You can see that there's a sunflower field in the back of them, right? So this is the original 3. And then there was a water balloon. And I'll tell you one thing about water balloons. LLMs they don't understand water balloons, and they often float them. But Gemini got the water balloon story right? Because the little boy's got it behind his back. He's innocently waving at his little sister, but he's going to throw that water balloon at her. And you know it. And the story is just so clear. And the mess that's going to occur in about 3 minutes with watermelon and sandwiches and water all over the place is so predictable, but so beautifully qualifies for a storybook. So I wanted to share this with you, not because I want to show off Gemini, because I feel this is a good reason to show it off, but also to remind you that our prompt engineering, iterate, give examples, and you'll be surprised how the LLMs will go further for you if you just guide them a little bit. All right, I'll be talking to you soon.